All right. It is, let's see here. Make sure I got this right. Yep, Juneteenth, Thursday, June 19th, about 15:32. This is Mr. Wolford here. Apparently, I've got a YouTube channel now. I've got more than 10 subscribers, so thank you to all of you. That's epic. I'm sure I hope that some people I know, but if there's any random folks out there, that's super cool, man. It's all kind of coming together. I um I told myself I wasn't gonna do any content just for the sake of talking. That's not what this channel is about. It's I don't even know what this channel's about. I mean, I'm on a journey, and I'm having just an absolutely epic experience that has changed my life, and it's been humbling and rewarding. And I guess I'm trying to spread that around. It's a little windy out here in Kill Devil Hill, so bear with me. But I heard another Alan Watts quote today that just kind of got my mind going and got my heart going. I think it even triggered an emotional response to me because I feel like I had a good takeaway there. So I figured, well, what the heck? I'll just kind of run with that. I'm gonna read the quote to you guys again, and then we'll go from there. I also decided to write some notes down. These last two videos, I've been 1,000% just shoot from the hip. No script, no agenda, just kind of running with a thought. Gone, 20, 23 minutes each time. But each time, although I feel like it was a lot of good, genuine and authentic thoughts, there was stuff that I wanted to say that I left out. So I tried to write some notes down this time to keep me on track. So just bear with me as I work through this. I'm not a professional YouTuber. I'm not a professional speaker, but I do have something to say. So let's get to this Alan Watts quote here. Let's see. And Alan Watts. I think we forget life was never meant to be understood. It was meant to be felt. We spend so much time trying to figure everything out, trying to fix, explain, solve, control. But life is not a puzzle, it's a wave. You're never meant to carry the wave, you were meant to let it move through you. The joy, the fear, the heartbreak. The moments that didn't make sense until much later. You were never broken, you were becoming. I think the sadness comes when we try to hold on to what's meant to pass. We grip the moment, the person, the feeling, trying to freeze it in time. But everything you've ever loved was borrowed. And the beauty of it was never in the holding, it was in the being. So if you're hurting, don't rush to escape it. If you're lost, don't race to find direction. Feel it, all of it. Because this too is part of the dance. And if you listen closely enough, even your pain is trying to teach you how to be alive. Wow. Wow. That moves some stuff around in me. Fix, explain, solve, control. I think it's kind of like an underlying theme. I was talking about your ego wants you to control outcomes so you don't feel them. The same kind of pain again, right? Because you're trying to avoid it. Moments that didn't make sense until much later. I mean, all of them, right? and we're just constantly reacting, and like we constantly, me personally, I constantly have been like still like thrill seeking, trying to sustain a certain level of bliss or happiness or numbness, so I didn't feel any of the pain, but then numb, right? Intoxicated, whatever. So, and then sadness comes from holding on to the past. Now, this is the one that got me, this is the one that really got me thinking, and that I wanted to kind of elaborate on here. I think that this is true in a philosophical standpoint, but it's deeper than that. And something that I've learned over the last decade or so, and all the group counseling and all of that. I think the first step I took was getting into like a 2 year long PTSD program they, where I learned that when a person experiences trauma, it is burned into their body and their brain, their body, physiologically speaking. So whatever physiological response you're having whenever you experienced whatever trauma it is that you went through, every time you think about that trauma moving forward, your body is physiologically reacting as if you were right there in that same scenario. And we've talked about this before. I've been having this conversation with so many people. I don't think I've said this on the YouTube yet. Essentially, it's similar to when you smell something and then it instantly takes you back. For me, if I smell honeysuckle, I remember being a kid because we had them outside of my front door, one of the houses I grew up in. So anytime I smell that smell, I remember being about 7 years old and what that felt like to be right there in that moment. So that's a good example of how your body can retain information and time travel. That's what I was thinking about. It's like time traveling. But I never realized that I was time traveling back to all the bullshit too. Back to finding my mom dead or watching my buddies get killed. Those are the bad ones. Those ones hurt. And I think that it's important to honor our emotions in that regard, but to understand that when that stuff comes up, that it's a physiological response that's wired into our bodies, and that we have to honor it. And what happens is we have that response, we start to feel those feels, and then we immediately do something to distract ourselves, something to numb it, something to make it go away, or something to make it never happen again. And that's problematic, or at least it has been for me. I have not been able to make any progress in my life until I really started to feel the pain that I never wanted to feel again. So yeah, what does that mean? It means you're usually bringing a whole bunch of energy that doesn't belong to the scenario, right? You're like, I guess the best example or the best thing I can think of is just myself in the last few, zero self-awareness and a whole lot of energy. I'm rolling a china shop, right? Just the whole situation, just constant, go, 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 loud, obnoxious, cocky, egotistical. And it was all my armor. It's just how I survived this world, So what's the path? I think that's something I've been kind of setting on too, right? One of my very good friends, Ryan, he and I served in Afghanistan together. I'm gonna come see him and a couple of my other buddies in Tennessee on my way back through there. And he had asked me a question yesterday that made me realize, like, okay, there's a direction I can go with all of this. I can kind of start to talk about this path that I've been on, and I guess as best I can, a step by step how to or what worked for me, so that way you have something to compare and contrast to, right? Well, for starters, meditate. That's meditation and breath work. I think those are like this is the way, this is the path, and you hear the word meditate, and you maybe have done breath work before, but if you truly sit with your thoughts, observe them, don't react to them, and then let them pass through, you might find that things turn out differently than you ever expected them to, which can be a blessing as well, right? So you have to learn to observe your thoughts, feelings, and situations without expressing any emotion. And I know that sounds funny, but that was probably the most powerful first step I've ever made towards my healing, was understanding that I am an emotional person, that I have emotional responses, and I feel very freaking strongly about things. I can have an opinion, but as soon as I learned that, or as soon as I was actually able to put this into practice, to apply it, that's when I I felt a sense of empowerment that I'd never felt in my life. I had this whole wave of shit come over me. I think I was fighting with a girlfriend or something at the time, and I wanted to do this, say this, whatever, and I did nothing, which was completely counterintuitive, and everything worked out, and things didn't escalate, things didn't get as bad as I thought they were going to get, and I was like, oh, you mean to tell me there's a whole other way to do this? This is kind of funny. I mean, yeah, there is. We don't know what we don't know, and everything that we know we've learned. It's taken our whole entire lives for us to figure out how to show up the way we do right now. And the thing is, we haven't even thought about it. It's just been reactive. Reactive to every situation you've ever been put in, And if you have any self-awareness around that, that means you've started to look inward. It's been my experience that most folks don't even realize that they're just being driven around by their egos, trying to avoid the bullshit and keep a high going or something, right? Those used to be my best friends. I like to party with those ones. I'm trying to heal now, so we're going to feel the stuff. Take note of your thoughts and how often you try to distract yourself. That's your ego. So if you want to start to get a handle on which voice is the ego in your head, he or she is the loudest one in the room. I said that yesterday, but it's the quickest way to identify it is when you're trying to meditate and a thought comes in, and then that voice that tells you to get distracted. Oh, I forgot to do the laundry. Oh, I forgot to do this. Oh, I need to get dinner ready. Oh, I need whatever. But that voice, whatever one consistently keeps showing up. Watch that mother licker. He or she is the one that is driving your train. He's going to talk you in and out of all kinds of dumb stuff to keep you in a familiar toxic space, as opposed to pushing you into a fearful space that may be healthier. But since you don't know it, you don't want to go there, right? So, one thing I've learned is that the ego hates quiet. The ego hates quiet. So when you are trying to be still, ID the voice that's talking, right? I just said that. And then once you really get a handle on it, tell that voice to shut the fuck up. Yeah. Seriously. And in real time, it kind of looks a little something like this. You have your emotional trigger. Okay, it looks like this. You've just listened to this video, so now you know. Now you have the knowledge that, okay, there is another path. There is another way to do this. But how do I do it, right? So this is how it's going to go. You're going to have your emotional trigger. It's going to happen at some point in your future. I don't know. For me, the old me, give me an hour, I'll get triggered about something. It doesn't even matter. I'll find a reason to get upset. For some people, it's different. But whenever you experience that trigger, what's going to happen is you're going to react exactly like you do. Exactly like you've been programmed to, or you programmed yourself, or your ego wants you to. And at some point along the way, after it's all settled and the dust is settled and all the damage is done because of your emotional response, instead of letting things play themselves out, you'll reflect onto this conversation, this YouTube video, and you go, shit, I was supposed to not do anything, right? And maybe that's like an hour later. That's round one. Round two, maybe it's all the same process leading up to, but maybe a half hour later you realize, oh shit, I was supposed to not have an emotional response. And then I do round three, and maybe it's 5 minutes later. And then round 10, maybe you're like right in the middle of having an emotional trigger, physiological reaction to whatever stimuli you're experiencing. And you remember, and you're able to kind of reel it in, or at least curtail the end of that whole scenario and make it a little less horrible than it's going to be, right? And then eventually, with a lot of practice and forethought, you'll be able to catch yourself before you have the emotional response, the physiological response. And that's kind of what I was talking about, where you observe it, you see it coming a mile away, you understand that it's going to rock your boat a little bit, or maybe even it won't be in alignment with you. I think that's probably a good way to put it. It won't be in alignment with where you're at currently. And however that hits you, you know, um, but you're able to just take it in stride, let it pass, and then realize that it actually didn't have any effect on you at all, and that everything's fine, and that you didn't need to control an outcome. You're still alive, and what I've learned is that if I keep my mouth shut, things usually turn out better than when I open my mouth. So that's very counterintuitive for me. 5 triggered side note. Okay, hold on. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything here. Oh, so this is gonna sound funny, right? But this is the biggest thing that helped me start to identify my ego, and taught me how to have control over my emotions. Um, this is a step in that direction, okay? But I stopped listening to the radio and music. Yeah, it's that's how I figured out how to meditate. Even when I was driving around, and I was a salesman. I would drive from house to house and sell people stuff, not drugs, but like roofing materials or HVAC, right? Construction stuff. Um, so sometimes, I had a lot of windshield time, I guess is what we'd call it, and I just turned the radio off one day. I remember feeling like I was trying to think, and there was a radio ad. They were trying to sell me something, and I changed the station, and then it was a song that was sad, and it was trying to bring me down. I changed the station, it was a too upbeat of a song, and I was just trying to fucking think. So I just turned it off, and I left it off for like 3 months. No music, no TV, no influence on my emotion. Don't pull me one way. I don't want to listen to a song to make myself happy or sad. I just want to be. And that was a profound experience. And if you've never done that, I say give it a go, especially if you're trying to figure out how to meditate, because meditation is truly just the art of observing your thoughts and letting them pass without deflection, control, manipulation. Just observe. Why am I thinking that? Am I thinking that? Was that my thought, or is that a feeling? Remember, don't believe everything you think. Okay. Yeah, force yourself to sit in silence and observe your thoughts, honor them. Cry if you must, scream if you must, but do your best to let them wash over and then fade away, right? I think that's the point is we have to honor our emotions in real time. That's something I started to say, right? Anytime something heavy comes up for me, whether it's like combat trauma or personal trauma, I say I honor and accept these emotions and feelings. And there are times where literally that's all I've had to say, and whatever that lump in my throat that was there is gone. Right? I thought I was gonna squirt some, gone. I just had to say I honor and accept these feelings and emotions. And then there's been times where I've literally been in time where I was walking into the mall in Sacramento, and something hit me. I think I saw something that reminded me of my mom. And I've been practicing this. So right in that moment, I said, I honor and accept these feelings and emotions. And boy, oh boy, I lost it right there in public, But I think the art of honoring and accepting is having zero shame about that. And I'll tell you what, when it was all said and done, it was one of the most cathartic things I've ever experienced. When we bottle that stuff up and we don't let our bodies feel it, we hold on to that pain. It's not there to be held on to. I think that's what Helen wants is talking about. None of it. The love, the joy, the sorrow, the pain, it's all borrowed. I think that, you know what, I'm going to go a little bit off the script here, but that was an epiphany that I had that helped me process a lot of my stuff, is that the human experience is all of this experience. It is the good and the bad. It is the dark and the light. It is the pros and the cons, and the love and the hate. that is our contrast. We all have darkness and light inside of us, and we've all struggled with it, I'm sure. I know I have. But I struggled with it because I tried to hold it, control it, manipulate it, understand it, all of these things that I just didn't know. That was just my experience, and it was my God-given experience. And what a beautiful experience it's all been, the whole thing. So if you can start to wrap your mind around the fact that every single thing that you go through here on this physical earth is probably something you signed up for before you got here, and that there's a deep, deep lesson to be learned from it, then every single thing you experience, whether it's a good or bad, is some kind of a positive, right? And if you can flip that switch to lessons on lessons, whew, it's a good day. It's a good day. This is the way, as my friend Micah would say. So, let me see here. Yeah, so like I said, turning the music off. I know I sound like a psycho. It's going to be really hard, but if you really want to challenge yourself, roll around for a couple of days or as long as you can without any music on. And then observe your thoughts and honor them. You'd be amazed at what you'll learn about yourself. The bottom line is the way you carry yourself and show up day to day is or was a learned behavior. It's taken you your whole life to learn how to react the way you've been programmed to, and it's going to take time to learn the new habit, right? To learn some new habits. So you have to be patient with yourself, and you have to give yourself some grace. Um, and for me, personally, um, so there's five major emotions: joy, anger, guilt, shame, sadness. So everything that we experience comes down to one of those five. And for me personally, I have to say that I've learned the most from my guilt and my shame. And that's a funny thing to say, but stay with me now. Whenever I used to feel guilty or shameful about, well, okay, first of all, guilt is I've done something bad. Shame is I am bad. Okay? So there's the difference between guilt and shame. So anytime I would start to feel like I did something bad, or maybe I'm not as good of a person as I thought I would avoid the way that felt, and then usually do something to try to make myself feel better, and that something usually wasn't something positive or healthy, right? So, the lesson is, if you could take your joy, or excuse me, your shame and your guilt, and really take a look inward and go, man, I do not like the way I carried myself. I do not like the way I acted in that situation. And you can implement a change into your life. What better teacher is there than that? And the cool thing for me, personally speaking, is the more that I start to honor that and be really honest with myself about whether or not I'm showing up the way I should, whether or not I am a good human being or not, whether or not I've carried myself with integrity and love and taking light everywhere instead of darkness, right? But if I have effed that up and somehow gotten off track, I change my ways so quick. I see it. Oh man, I understand it. Forgive myself. Try to unpack it, right? But it's just been two of the most valuable emotions that I've learned to honor and listen to because they've helped me make changes. So if that helps you, right on. Horrible reactions, yes, straight away negative experience. So yeah, you're turning a negative experience into a positive experience right out of the gate, and that's just there's nothing better than that. Everything that your state of mind, your soul, your heart, it's a pretty amazing feeling when all of that is in alignment, and you're not trying to bullshit yourself about who you are or how you feel or how you show up or you know what I mean, those things. So, all right. How's the trip? Well, my trip has just been blessings on blessings. Every single day has been better than the day before. And I'm not just saying that. I I'm so humbled and I'm so grateful for this experience that especially when it's unscripted, right? Like this whole thing, even this, I've got the script, but it's just keeping me on some talking points. And here's a good example. Okay, so this morning I was taking my Harley to the Outer Banks Harley Davidson to get an oil change, and that didn't work out. And initially, I'll be honest with you, I was a little irritated. I had a little bit of an attitude about it because in my head I wanted to get that checked off the list before I started to put any more miles under my bike, right? But it worked out. Um, I was able to make friends with basically all the people that work there and some of the customers. Everybody wanted to know about my story and what I was doing, and then I told a few people I started a YouTube channel and da 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 da. So I just want to throw a huge shout out to the Outer Banks Harley Davidson, who has said that they're going to offer discounts at the register for anybody who subscribes to my channel. Wow, it's like he came out to take a picture of me when I was leaving. He said, "Hey, can I take a picture of you?" I was like, "Oh yeah, man, I sure why." I'm gonna tell people if they follow you, I'm gonna give them a discount. If they subscribe to your channel. And I was like, "What?" And I don't know, man. I don't know what's gonna happen with all this YouTube stuff, but it doesn't really matter. It's the spirit of it. This guy who I never met. He's like, "Man, I can tell you're cool, dude." He goes, "I've been talking to you for 5 minutes, and you've already given me some perspective on things that I hadn't thought about." And I got to tell you, that makes me feel good. I don't think I've ever felt more proud of myself, and it's a weird sense of humility and pride all wrapped up into one human being I got going on right now. But how neat, you know, how neat to have such an unwarranted and unsolicited blessing come to me like that in a situation that I didn't even know was possible here. God is good. So, on that note, I probably had one of the most wholesome experiences in my life. I went to the Wright Brothers Memorial today here in Kill Devil Hills. I'm looking at it. It's probably a mile away from me right now at the most. No, less than that. It's a half a mile away. And when I pulled up to the gate, I pulled my wallet out and I set it in my lap, so I was on the bike. And I was going to be ready to pull out my military ID card and do all, whatever, pay if I needed to, whatever. And when I got there, I turned my bike off, and as soon as I turned it off, she said, "Motorcycles are free today." So I was like, "Oh, that's awesome, thanks." And I didn't want to have to do this motion. And so I just fired the bike back up and took off. Well, I was so jazzed to be there at the monument. I was kind of doing a lap around everything, and I finally parked as close as I could. That when I got off the bike, my wallet and all of my ID cards hit the ground, right? And I saw it, I felt it, I knew it was happening. I hadn't even taken my helmet off yet. And these this lovely couple, a little older than I am, was walking next to me, and I think the wife observed that I dropped my ID cards. So I heard him say something, but I had already started recording a video because I'm trying to put this together, me pulling up, and anyway. So I was recording live, and that moment was being captured live. And initially, they were trying to tell me about this, and I said, "No, I know. Thank you very much. I'll get it." Yeah, I was talking through my helmet. And then I said, "I'm recording a live video right now." And I think they thought I was taking a picture. And I was like, don't worry about it. Keep going. I was trying to you guys get out of the way. Not a mean way or anything, but I wasn't planning on engaging with them. So I was trying to avoid it initially. But God had other plans. And And he told me to listen and to be a neighbor. And so I did. And it was just beautiful. I said, I'm sorry, I'm recording this live right now. I'm actually capturing a moment. And she said, well, do you want me to capture you in the moment? And yep. And I handed her my phone and I stepped back and she recorded it all and then recorded my ID cards on the ground. And it was just a very candid and wholesome experience. And I thanked them genuinely. I was just so grateful. What initially, I don't know. I don't even want to say irritated me, but that's just my person. Initially, it didn't go exactly how I had it planned, so my feathers were ruffled a little bit. I was trying to be cool and casual about it, but deep inside, I was like, this isn't how I wanted this to go. To transition that to like, you know, a totally humbling experience. So let me play it forward. Here I am, 5 or 10 minutes later. I'm standing up at the monument, and they came up to talk to me and introduced themselves, and I introduced myself. And their names are Brett and Nancy, and they're out of Pennsylvania. And I just had the best conversation. Brett is a Marine, if I'm not mistaken, he said, and he was in Iraq and Afghanistan as well. And I would have never guessed that, aside from the American flag hat he had on. But, not everybody, I mean, you don't have to, not only veterans wear those, so I didn't assume. And I talked to him for a few minutes, and I told him what I was doing. Same thing. As I told him, they both jumped on the YouTube channel. It's great. Thank you guys. Love you. Nice to meet you. And then they said if I'm going through, I told them where I was going, and they invited me to stop through their hometown in Pennsylvania to have coffee with them when I'm passing through. And you know what? I'm gonna. I am so very much looking forward to having coffee with random strangers that I met in a random place today, who opened their heart and their kindness to me, and who are just completely genuine and authentic. And another thing about Brett, what a stellar example on how to not let your baggage follow you around. I feel like I took my high energy and my pain and I projected it onto everything and everyone in my life for a long time, because I don't know, I needed a witness. I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know that there was another or a better way. But when I meet guys like Brett, it makes me realize that there is a better way, and that my pain doesn't have to be your pain, and that life is beautiful. So I just wanted to say thank you to those two human beings for just being human beings with me in this experience, and what a joy that was. All right, all of a sudden I'm at 33 minutes, so let's see here. New friends, gonna meet with them, recap. All right, blessings on blessings. Set with your pain so you can observe it, let it pass, be still. Just, if you're experiencing the pain, feel it, feel all the feels, and then let it go. See what happens. Listen without reacting or controlling, okay? No music for as long as you can. Try to ID your ego. He or she is usually the one who won't shut up or always has a clever idea. That's my ego. Well, I got an idea. We can do this, then we won't have to feel like that. And remember, changing habits takes time. Give and show yourself some grace, okay? And then learn to talk to God. And then I would say equally as important as talking to God is learning to shut up so you can listen to God. I don't know how many times God's tried to speak to me and I wrote the idea off because my ego wanted me to do something else, to not feel what God was trying to get me to feel. Do you understand? There are so many lessons in the pain we avoid. At least there has been for me. This has been my path. And if you want to try it for yourself, tell me I'm right, okay? Learn to talk to God, learn to shut up for his answers. Logistics. Due to the oil change, I'll be taking care of that in Charleston, so I'm going to be there this weekend. If anybody's following along and wants to come meet up, give me a jingle, find me out there. Um, and then after Charleston, I'll be southbound and bound heading to the Keys. So if you see me, say hi. This whole experience, bar none, has just probably been one of the best things I have ever done, and I highly recommend every single person that is watching this channel. If you don't know how to ride a motorcycle and you're not afraid to learn, I recommend doing that. And then, and if you do have a motorcycle, get on it and ride. Set some time, carve some time out of your schedule, whether it's a couple of days or a week. But just go unscripted somewhere, open your heart up, and stop by some Harley shops and meet some cool folks, and find a beach somewhere, and don't be afraid to talk to strangers because I haven't met a stranger that I don't like yet. I'm not just saying that, but I think it's because of how I'm approaching the earth right now. I couldn't always say that. So that's why I truly believe that I'm onto something here. All right. Uh, oh, I would be remiss if I failed to mention this aspect of my journey, though. I'm talking about how healed I am, and da 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 da, or this healing journey I'm on. But I've been through this whole trip has been going through a divorce, right? So it's been I've just been going through this heartbreak, just walking right into it, walking right through it. It's been very confusing, honestly. But about 75% of this trip has been me either bawling my eyes out or rage screaming and crying into my helmet as I ride across the country. And I guess that's the beautiful thing about wearing a full face helmet is nobody can see what I got going on under that mask, but uh, it's been the best thing I've ever done. You know, it's helped me get. I think that and I'm telling you this because I was thinking about it last night. Like, what's allowed me to take in all of this love and all of this light, and it's been the fact that I've been able to dump and shed my freaking pain. Oh, the pain I've been carrying around for 25, 30 years, right? Sorrow, heartache. And I will say that my ego held on for dear life. Um, he's a tricky son of a gun. He's very cunning, very, very clever. He used my fears against me a lot. Every single step of the way, every single fear that crossed my mind, my ego exacerbated, doubled down, tried to make. I literally at one point almost turned my Harley around and went back to my old life, the old toxic shit, everything. I almost didn't do this. You understand? And I almost allowed my ego to justify me not doing this, me not showing up for all the people that I've showed up for so far, including myself, right? So I think there's some lessons there as well. I think that at least for me, as I try to gain perspective on all this, and I'm starting this YouTube channel, I think that it's important to take note that part of my journey has been constantly going round and round with my ego and staying steadfast and walking into the unknown, scared shitless. Yep. I mean, that's fucking, that's the truth of the matter. I've never been more scared in my life. I was scared, war, yeah, sure, but like facing your fears and your feelings, I don't know, man. I'd rather get drunk or high or whatever, or bullshit myself and just avoid it altogether, because sometimes like if we're not getting drunk or high, then what I learned is the military, you have three primary responses. If you don't know this, my CID buddies do. Fight, flight, freeze, right? So those are the three physiological responses that you will have to a stimuli. And The military trains us combat vets, us veterans, to ignore two of those three. So you're not running away and you're not freezing in place. So instinctively, I've been programmed to respond with aggression. So put it all together, I'm getting triggered. My body's having a physiological response that is from the past, and the military has programmed me and wired me over 10 years to respond to stimuli with aggression. Man, what a recipe for disaster. So, yeah, stay the course. Keep pushing forward. Your ego is going to try to keep you in some familiar spaces. Don't listen to him or her. You're going to have to tell them to take a back seat, and you're going to have to tell them that it's going to be scary, and you're going to have to ask them to trust you that you're going to do things a little bit different. And then what you got to do is you got to do it. You just got to do it. No bullshit, no excuses. Go. Lay it out. Set a 24-hour, 48, 5-day window where you're just constantly checking your ego, self-reflecting, and observe your thoughts. Take notes as to how often they're coming in and out of your head and your heart. And then also what physiological responses you're having, and then what thoughts you're having that are trying to take you out of that physiological response. See, so once you can start to really, this is how it's worked for me. You know, I know we're all different. We are all different. I understand that. And I know that not everybody looks at the world like Matt Wolford does. I do understand that. But this is the only way I know how to explain it. So you're gonna have to try to take my words and connect your dots, and if you have questions or if there's some other way that I can elaborate on these topics further, I certainly will. I guess I have. It's in my book, you know, which on that note is still being edited. I just talked to one of my buddies the other day. He's working diligently on it, and I love you for that. Thank you both for taking time out of your lives to help me. I can't express how amazing of a feeling that is to have people in your corner like that. So I appreciate y'all. Oh, and I wouldn't have survived this without talking to God every day and going down my gratitude list every day. Okay, multiple times a day. I mean, I start my day off. I say thank you, God, for all the love and the light in my life. It's just like the first thing I say in the morning, and I say thank you for this beautiful day and this opportunity to live it. Okay, stuff that I say. But the last thing that I'm going to leave you with are my mantras. I say they're mine. I acquired them. You know, one of them I know I heard somebody say like three separate sentences, and I kind of smushed it into one sentence. But nonetheless, I say them so much and I've said them for so long that I feel like they're mine and they are a part of me. And they've definitely been a part of my healing and a part of how sorry, I lost my camera here. A part of how I deal with stress and anxiety and things that are outside of my control. Okay? And that's very important because you have to keep your peace. You know, you need that center line. And if something's constantly pulling you one way or the other, or you're worried about the past, or you're stressing about the future, you know what I mean? So these are my mantras. I say them aloud multiple times a day, anytime I start to feel any stress or anxiety, okay? Number one, every day and in every way, I am getting better and better. Every day and in every way, I am getting better and better. Number two, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I say that one to God and I say that one to myself. And sometimes when I'm sitting and thinking, I say, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. It's just like on a loop in my head. And when I first started doing that, that had a profound impact on me emotionally. It was the first time I started to forgive myself. It was the first time I started to try to love myself. Love ourselves. That's going to be our next topic. Because what the hell is that? We'll talk about it. Number three, I will not let temptation, frustration, or desperation change my destination. I will not let temptation, frustration, or desperation change my destination. And number four, I give God and the universe the opportunity to allow things to turn out better than I could ever imagine. I allow God and the universe the opportunity to allow things to turn out better than I could ever imagine. Powerful stuff, folks. It has been for me. Um, Thank you for following along. If you're still here, there's got to be a new record, 45 minutes. Uh, I'll be checking back in with you guys once I get to Charleston and kind of get my bike dialed in. I'm really looking forward to seeing what South Carolina has to offer. I haven't been there. I think last time I was in Myrtle Beach was 1997. So I think I'm long overdue. I'm looking forward to getting there. And thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you on the next one.